Just thinking about what you and your colleagues are trying to accomplish here, the backdrop of COVID is a given. We understand that. But then I look at everything else swirling around in terms of, all this in a lame duck session in a contested election with the Georgia, Senate, the overall Senate up for grabs. It's always daunting. It's always daunting. And then you add in, you've got all these players. I don't even know who to listen to anymore. Mnuchin, Pelosi, the president, you, Mitch McConnell. I mean, I've never seen sausage made, but I hear it's pretty disgusting. It can't be as bad as this, I don't think.
No, but just listen to me, so I'll give you the right answer.
All right, give it to me straight.
Remember, we have done 4 COVID bills before, so I think I have a pretty good feeling when we can get one done and when we can't. Not to play any partisan politics, but even Nancy Pelosi finally admitted the reason why she held up the last piece of legislation was because of the election. She wanted to change the person in the office, that we had an election now. So what she's able to do, and she admitted in her press conference the other day, she's willing to move forward. The compromise that we put forth just a day ago is really a very good compromise, and this is where the sticking point lies. The Democrats do not want to provide liability protection. There's more than 1,000 suits out there. Here we have more than 100,000 restaurants already closed for good. These small businesses are barely hanging on. They cannot get sued into the future. We want to make sure that protection stays, as long as also we abide then, give state funding at the same time. But when you look at the PPP, for those workers who are out, they can go for a second round. We put in direct payments instead of adding above more money into the UI. It reaches more people and helps a greater distance. I really find that the compromise that we put forth is the bill we would get to. We just passed a continuing resolution, meaning funding government for another week. I think next week will be the week we get it done. It would have been late. I put up funding more than 40 times. Democrats have voted against it since the summer till today.
Do you know for sure whether the horse trading that you're doing with liability and the stimulus checks and everything and the state and local concessions, is that been accepted by the other side?
No, Nancy Pelosi is still saying no. But remember what Nancy Pelosi has said for the last 4 months. Doing nothing is better than doing something. I think she is the only person in America who believes that. I have had numerous Democrats on the other side of the aisle who said, I'm willing to vote for it. Let's move forward. The country needs the assistance. We have the ability to do it. And I believe this is the compromise. If people would sit down and look at the document that does the greatest amount of help and can pass both houses and signed by the president.
Well, the default pushback on that is that the Democrats actually passed the bill. And if that were true, then, if the Republicans really wanted to do it, I hear that every time. It's almost like
41 times.
Your opponents don't even have to think about it. They just come out with that and then immediately blame Republicans. So, everybody's tired of both sides.
Yeah, let's not blame anybody. Let's simply do the job. Do you realize there's more than $100 billion sitting there for states that's already appropriated? More than $100 billion sitting there for small business to pay their workers? And it's just been sitting there for the last 3 months? More than 40 times we've gone to the floor, tried to release that. The election is over. Nancy Pelosi finally admitted that she held it up for that cause. Let's make sure that we put people before politics. And I believe, just like Winston Churchill said, you could count on Americans to do the right thing after they exhausted everything else. I think we're at that point.
I was thinking about $2.2 trillion and nine. You're willing to go 916 and you don't want 908. And I'm throwing all these numbers around. All these numbers are bigger than the Obama response. Remember the stimulus back after the financial crisis?
Yes.
That for years I used to rail about how that did nothing, and there were no shovel-ready projects and all that money. And now we're talking about this like it's this is almost like a concession that this is all we could agree on. This is still a lot of money, and it has to be done right. I guess that's what maybe both sides are saying.
It is a lot of money, but you also have money that was already appropriated that has not been spent. So you can do a package of help and aid that you don't even have to put appropriate more money to. It's more fiscally sound to do this. It helps more people. It's more surgical. There's money in here to make sure the vaccine gets out. I mean, the things that we are funding right now are needed. You watch the number of small businesses that are laying people off, are closing their doors for good. You've got PPP money already sitting there. It's added to it, 330, that small businesses could come back, get the other loan as long as they had a 25% reduction. We don't want to be funding people that are actually doing better than they were prior.
Hey, Leader, just wanted you to clarify something because I was listening to your language and I wasn't sure whether I heard it right. Are you acknowledging and accepting President-elect Biden's victory
I could have predicted
the
your
next
question.
president?
I could have predicted your question. I could tell when
That's
you were
fine.
Look, the election
I was
went
listening
through.
to what you were saying earlier, and I wanted to know if the moment is here and you're acknowledging it.
Look, the electors have to go through and put forth that. The president, he has to make sure that every legal vote is counted, every recount is done, and make sure every complaint or being able to heard inside court. Once that's done, I think the election will be over and the electors will make their decision, and we will have an inaugural on January 20th, and I will be there.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.